Alright, we have all seen DJs playing at clubs, festivals, and maybe at your cousin's wedding. But what do they actually do? Well, in my previous video on DJing, we've explored the history on DJing and what DJs actually do. But how do they do it? And how can you start mixing like a pro? Well, grab your headphones, because today we're breaking down the basics of DJing. DJing is all about selecting the right tracks, blending them together smoothly and keeping the energy flowing. To keep the energy flowing, it's important to use a variety of music, which can go up or down in energy. Think about the story you want to tell and how to tell it. And take a look at the crowd. You might need to adjust your story a bit while telling it. It doesn't matter where you play or what gear you're using, the goal stays the same. Making sure people don't want to stop dancing. Before you start mixing, you'll need some gear. Let's break it down. First off, we'll have the OG DJ setup. In the early DJ days, the basic DJ setup you needed was 2 Technics turntables and a mixer. It's a perfect setup for old school mixing with that warm sound and the small vinyl crackle. Okay, next setup. This is what you mostly find at clubs or festivals. 2 or more CDJs and a mixer. Well, I'm cheating. These aren't actually CDJs or XDJs, but they're basically the same, only have no CD input. Another option you can use for DJing is a DJ controller. A DJ controller is basically a smaller, a more affordable and compacter version of this setup. It has 2 players and a mixer. It's great for beginning DJs. It runs mostly on DJ software like Serato or Rekordbox. You can plug it into your laptop and you're ready. You can start playing. I don't really have an example of DJ controller. This crappy thing is what I used back in the days when I was a kid. Alright, the moment you've all been waiting for, and you too. Mixing. Let's talk about mixing. There are 3 key important things you should know about mixing. First off, it's beat matching. Second, timing. And third, EQ'ing. Okay, let's begin. First, beat matching. Beat matching is making sure the tempos of the 2 tracks you're using are the same and are in sync. So for example, over here I have my first track, 125 BPM. Here I have my second track, 126 BPM. Now when I will play these together, you will hear they will slowly go out of sync because this track is slightly faster. Let's have a listen. Yeah, that's not what you want to. So you hear this track going out of sync. A simple thing we can do, because most DJ gear have BPM counters on them, you can just adjust the BPM. Very simple with the tempo slider. So I will adjust the tempo of this track from 126 to 125. Oh, 25. So now if I play these 2 tracks, they will stay in sync. Let's have a listen. As you hear, the tracks stay in sync. Perfect, that's what we want. Now the beats are matched. Okay, so what do you do if you don't have the BPM of the track? For example, mixing vinyl, it's another kind of DJing. So if you want to explain how to do this on vinyl, let me know and I'll make a video about this. But something you can practice to get better at beat matching, because beat matching is about adjusting the tempo and making sure the tracks stay in sync. But what happens if the track goes slightly out of sync? you can adjust it with the jog wheel. For this example, a thing you can practice is not to look at the BPM. So I have these two coins, I will put them over the BPM counters. I will play this track, and purely by listening, I will adjust the tempo with the slider, but also adjust with the jog wheel, because if I adjust only the tempo, it will still be out of sync. So I will need to combine these two things to get both tracks in sync and match the beat. Okay, so let's do this. I will play both tracks and I will adjust this track with the jog wheel and the tempo slider. So I'll keep adjusting with the jog wheel and the slider until it sounds good. It sounds in sync. It might be slightly off. It sounds in sync. Okay, so in this way, while mixing, you can adjust the tracks. If you think the track is slightly off, you can adjust it with the jog wheel. If you think the tempo is off, you can adjust it with the tempo slider. But you need them both to adjust the beat on the right way. Okay, let's have a look how I did in this way. This track is 125. Surprising, I already knew that. How about this track? Hey, also exactly 125. Perfect. That was purely by listening. So that's an exercise you can do for beat matching and train your ears. Okay, the beats are matched. Let's go to timing. Timing is also a very important part of mixing, because if the timing is off, it will also sound horrible. For example, if I play this track and I will randomly introduce this track on points like this or no, well, that doesn't sound good. Okay, what you need to know about music is it consists out of beats, bars and phrases. One beat is like the kick. 4 beats is a bar. And 8 bars is most commonly a phrase. If you want to know more about phrase mixing and want to take your DJ skills to the next level, let me know. I can make a video on that as well. But it's a whole section on its own and a whole lot of information. Phrase mixing is about looking at the structure of the song and matching them up so the transition can be made very smoothly. But for now, we're just looking at the beats and the bars, and we'll count to 4 or 8 and get our timing of the second track right. So for example, like this, I will play first track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can tap with your finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and play. Maybe adjust a bit. Okay. So that about timing. The timing was right, but you could hear the track was very in there. So the transition you just heard was pretty harsh. How to make that smoother? Well, you can do that with EQ'ing. And EQ'ing is all about filtering the frequencies you don't want to hear or you want to boost. So for the second track, I want to cut the lows. How you do that? You have buttons on the mixer. These are buttons for the high frequencies, the mid frequencies and the low frequencies. I can demonstrate. Let's cut down the low frequencies. So you hear no bass. Let's cut off the mid frequencies. Now you only hear the highs. Now you hear nothing. Okay, let's introduce the bass. Now you're only the bass. This is with the mids. And there are the highs again. So in this way you can filter out frequencies you don't want to hear and make a more clearer mix. The most important is the low frequencies because they can make it sound muddy. And for this example I also want to hear less of the mid and less of the highs. If you have trouble hearing the track while practicing, you can keep them up so you can hear the track a bit better. But for a smoother transition I choose to turn them down a notch. Okay, so let's begin. I'll play track 1. Important, keep counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now the track is playing. You couldn't hear it, right? It's very smooth. Okay, so now I'll introduce the higher frequencies of this track, and I also cut some of these ones to give this track more room. Nice. Okay, and if you're ready to make the full transition, it's important to cut the lows and bring the lows in of the second track. The timing is very important as well. So keep on counting, keep looking at the waveforms. I hear a moment oncoming. Yeah? 1, 2, 3, 4. Filter those high frequencies out. Okay, that wasn't that bad, but it could be better. What we can do is bring in the track at the moment the break here begins. So it's also important to have an idea what you want to do with your mix. So in this case, listening to this track, you have now the intro playing, then a bit of chorus, and then it builds up main parts, and then you have the break. So my goal now is the first track is playing. My goal is to make a transition at the break, at the point where the break of the first track begins. So where the break begins, there I want to hit the lows of the second track, so you get that boost. Okay, let's have a try. Important, the second track I cut off the lows, some of the mids, some of the highs. Think about the timing. Give some room. So the moment is coming. Hit the lows. Okay, so that was a smoother transition, because at the moment at the moment this track kicked in, at the first track there was a dipping point. So there was a dip and there was a build up, though there were more energy. Less energy, more energy. At that point you want to make the switch. So that was a great example of a transition. So that about mixing. It's a lot of information. If you want to know more about some specific things, want me to explain more about phrasing, or want me to explain more about how to do this on vinyl, let me know and I'll make a video on this as well. Alright, and that's it. The basics of DJing in one crash course. So now it's your turn to grab some gear and start mixing. But most importantly, have fun with it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if your first mix is a total disaster, don't worry, we've all been there. Peace.